You ever done anything dangerous?
Welcome to Sports Talk in the Burgh, the show where we cover the latest and hottest news about the world of sports. I'm your host, Brett McGulick, and joining me now with a mediocre 3-4 fantasy record, it's Caden Hyde.
3-0 in the past week. 3-0 in the
and
past 2 weeks.
on my other side, it's actually my fantasy opponent for the week. It is Joey Dramasic. He's currently sitting at a record of 1-6. But gentlemen, I know last week we ended off hot at this exact table. I'm looking forward to having a good conversation this week. Let's talk a little bit of ball. So leading off our discussion today, we take a trip to LA and visit the LA Lakers with a newly packed Western Conference and the addition of Bronny James as well as other free agents. The Lakers have a new look to the team this season. Starting off hot with a win on Tuesday night. Is this a positive new look for the team? Caden, what do you got on this?
I think the only thing reliable about the Lakers over an 82-game span is that Anthony Davis and LeBron James are really good at basketball. I mean, Anthony Davis had 36 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks while he's guarded mainly by Defensive Player of the Year Hall of Famer Rudy Gobert. At the same time, LeBron had a bit of a down game scoring-wise and all around with 16 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, but he also had 2 blocks, including with LeBron, an incredibly cool moment where he checked in with Bronny. I'm sure we've all seen that everywhere. But the big question for me is if the role players on this Lakers team can step up. Last night, or 2 nights ago now, Rui Hachimura had 18 points on really good defense, 2 steals and a block, and Austin Reeves had 12. But at the same time, on the other end, their starting point guard, D'Angelo Russell, went 1 for 7 from 3, and their backup, Gabe Vincent, ran a ton of cardio out there. Had 2 points and 2 assists on nearly 20 minutes of action. It's excusable since it's the first game. I mean, they're jitters. The shooting's never going to be great. That's why you need like a good 20-game sample size before you can really say this team's good or this team's bad. But this team is also an incredibly tough conference. For as much as I like the Lakers, I don't see them beating the Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, or the Mavericks in a 7-game series. I could see them beating maybe the Grizzlies, the Kings, the Pelicans. Maybe the Spurs can beat them if Victor Wembanyama becomes a top 5 player in the league. But as of right now, I have this team ceiling as a play-in first-round exit.
Joey, what do you got?
See, I think actually the way that they played 2 nights ago, I think that they're actually going to be a pretty good team. And like you said, AD, I think the way that JJ Redick is going to have to take this approach to the season, having him being the focal point, I know that they've tried to, have that be like the primary guy the last couple of seasons, but never really has gotten to that point, mainly because AD can't be hurt. That is going to be why the Lakers aren't going to be good this year, is because AD is not going to be able to play. You said 36 points. He looked spectacular against the Timberwolves the other night. But one thing that, as you mentioned, that why they're not going to be that good is because the stacked Western Conference, Oklahoma City, the Timberwolves, the Suns, Nuggets, Clippers, Warriors, and Mavericks. I mean, it's going to come down maybe first, second round exit for the Lakers. But if they think that they can get past that, it's going to have to be Anthony Davis being the leader of that team. Not LeBron in terms of scoring, but obviously LeBron has that it factor when it comes to playoff time. LeBron's going to deliver. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how JJ Redick coaches this season. I know that his style is going to be more shooting threes, which I think they can kind of do over the course of the season. It's going to have to be D'Lo that's going to have to hit more of the shots. And also Rui, who did have a great game. He's got to hit some of those corner threes instead of missing some open ones that he did miss on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and part of me with this Lakers team feels like they're very boom or bust. This team could possibly win 50 games, or this team could win like a nice 37-38 and be the 10th seed in a play-in spot.
And I think it's going to be
because of how closely packed this Western Conference is. And they're in that middle tier of between really good contenders and just good playing teams. They're somewhere in the middle. Yeah. And it's got to be up to JJ Redick, up to AD's health.
It's going to be AD's health that's going to be the boom or bust for this team. If AD's healthy, I think they could even be a finals contender. If he's hurt, I think it's first-round exit for them this season.
Of course, we don't have too much to go on so far, but it's going to be exciting to see what the Lakers are up to this season. Moving on to some young stars whose pockets got a lot bigger. Hawks' Jalen Johnson, Rockets' Alperen Sengun, and Orlando Magic's Jalen Suggs, as well as Franz Wagner, all agreed to contract extensions worth over 9 figures. After only 3 years in the league and season 4 loading up, are these contracts deserved? or are they too large for such a small sample? Joey, what do you think about these contracts?
I think most of these contracts that these players are getting nowadays are a bunch of crap. Highway
okay.
of robbery for so many of these teams. The only player that he named, and that some of the other players that also got big contracts, is Alfred Sengun. You know, I'm a broken record now. 2 back-to-back weeks I've been talking good stuff about Alfred Sengun. You know, he had 25 and 18 on the opening night. He's one of the only players that I think really, out of those players, that will actually have a big impact for the team this year, for the Rockets. You know, if the Rockets don't have Sengun, forget about even thinking about a play-in spot for them, which I think that they'll be at.
As soon as he went down, they were on like a 10-game winning streak when he went down. Then I think they went 4-12 over the last 16.
And you take out Suggs. I think the Magic will be fine without him. Franz Wagner's the only one that he said that I'd maybe be questionable about. Like, you know, yeah, he has the playoffs. He actually played pretty decent against the Cavs. I could see him possibly being a player that gets worth up to an extension about that. I don't know about $185 million for 5 years. I think that's a bit high. But also Jalen Johnson. That's the worst deal. 5 years, $150 million.
For a guy who can't even play defense, he's 6'9". He can barely get rebounds. Can't play defense. He's a supplementary player on a team that just can't afford any more supplementary players.
And it's not worth it. I mean, 16 points a game last season. Okay, that's fine. But we haven't seen enough of him. And also, we haven't seen enough of him do anything in the playoffs. What have the Hawks been with him? Nothing. I don't think that this big contract is going to take the Hawks to anything. Also, getting rid of DeJounte Murray, which I think they kind of needed to if they wanted to put this Hawks organization in the right direction. But I just don't think that some of these players, especially in my opinion, Jalen Johnson, to have $30 million a year for a player that really has not shown the league much.
To be fair, you only really touched on like the lesser than max extensions. To play a bit of devil's advocate, I believe that the players who did get maxes are mostly deserving of them. The players that did get maxes, there are 4 of them. It was Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, and Franz Wagner.
I don't think Cade Cunningham or Mobley.
Really? Cade Cunningham, dude, on a terrible team, putting up 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Really? I mean, like, he's the only reason that team only won more than 10 games.
Now, maybe some of the injuries that he's had that is kind of making me feel like he might be on a path of maybe AD that, you know, a great player, but is his health going to kind of determine if he's going to be a good player?
How much money is Anthony Davis making?
Because he has proven he's a champion. AD is a champion, and on that championship
making money before he was a champion. He was making money when he was winning 35 games in New Orleans.
He was considered a top 15 player in the league. Cade, I wouldn't consider Cade anything to be top 25 in the league.
Was AD a big top 25 player when he was 24?
Yes.
Alrighty. Got some good stuff going on here, and hopefully some good players making some big money. If we take things back to the Keystone State, the Philadelphia 76ers star Joel Embiid is out battling a knee injury. The center and power forward missed the preseason as well as the season opener, losing to the Bucks. Last year, the team went 16-27 without the 2023 MVP. With no clear sight of when he will return, can the team succeed without him? Caden, I think I know your thoughts on this, but I want to hear what you have to say.
As Sports Talk in the Burgh's resident Milwaukee Bucks fan, I want to say, will Joel Embiid ever even play a healthy season his entire life? I watched the game last night. They put up a statistic there nearly the entire game where Joel Embiid has missed 46% of games he's been eligible for throughout his entire career.
Yeah,
this guy won't even play 65 games in a season. You want to consider him the best player in the league, best player in the world?
I was reading something. I don't mean to cut you off.
The idea of Joel Embiid becoming healthy is becoming the new Ben Simmons offseason workout. Will he become a good three-point shooter? And the answer is always no. He never will. He's never going to play healthy. He can't move anymore. He has the knees of a 40-year-old at 30. His game relies completely on just bullying people and getting into free throws, which is a horrible game, horrible type style of basketball to watch.
But it has worked in some cases.
It has worked.
That's not an awful thing. You see a lot of those big guys do that now. You know, Giannis attacking the rim. He has double-digit free throws. Like I feel like every game.
How many times has Giannis made it out of the second round?
I don't know that number off the top of my head.
3 times, actually.
Okay, 3 times. Okay, sorry, Bucks fan.
He's a Bucks fan.
You know that.
He's a Bucks fan.
You know that for a
The
fact.
Sixers have big old 0. And I'm just saying, I'm not scared of a team that outside of Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey is relying on Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, and old men Aaron Gordon and Kyle Lowry in critical situations. I don't think that, and Gershon Yabusele, who definitely did not dunk on LeBron in the Olympics.
Okay.
That was an AI-generated video. We all know that. But I just don't see this team making it out of the first round, let alone a second round, if these two players that they're relying on can't even stay healthy for 65 games.
And I'm not saying that the Sixers are gonna make it have this deep playoff run, but I think if you have Paul George and Embiid that play maybe 50 to 60% of the games together. That's together. I mean, of course, that I don't think that will happen. But if they can, I think maybe a 6 to 8 seed. But I think that. But you're going to already have 2 superstars if you have one of them, because Maxey is a superstar. Maxey is a superstar in this league. And say you have Paul George out, you're just basically going back to last year's team with Maxey and Embiid running the team. And like you said, Yabusele, Drummond, Lowry. You're going to have some of those guys, like Yabusele back in the France Olympic tournament run this year. You're going to need him to play at some type of level. I think he's going to be more of a energizer, like Bobby Portis for your Milwaukee Bucks is kind of have that role. And, Drummond and Lowry kind of going back to some of their old ways. I don't think that will happen as much, but I think if the main reason why the Sixers will make it into the playoffs at a decent seed will be the health of, obviously those two playing at the same time. And if they don't, Maxey, I think, can pick up some of the slack for that.
Embiid just came out and said that he will not play back-to-back games. So
I don't think he will either, though.
If your
the amount of injuries that he has, it wouldn't be smart for him. It wouldn't be smart for him to. But I don't think he shouldn't have said that publicly, because I think now he's being investigated by the NBA for his.
Also saying
definitely.
This is, like Tyrese Maxey's the franchise, like stuff like that.
Seems like he's given up a little bit, but we'll find out later in the season. Thank you once again, Caden and Joey, for coming on the show and talking some NBA. When we come back, we get a little chilly to talk about some of the NHL takes. So don't go away.
Bring it.
Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home.
Okay. Bye, guys.
You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one?
I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Joining me now are two guys with some pretty nice beards. Casey Irwine and Vin Lyons, thank you guys for joining me today. And it's time to discuss everyone's favorite frozen biscuit. Let's talk about some hockey takes. Starting off our hockey discussion, we keep it local. The Penguins have had a very rocky start, going 3-4 to begin the season. However, the big story has been their goaltending. As of now, the team is a -8 goal differential to start off, and goaltender Tristan Jarry has been struggling, posting a 5.47 goals against average over the last few games, as well as an .833 save percentage. Both of these rank about 50th amongst other goaltenders in the league. Jarry has been listed as a healthy scratch and losing his job to a rookie. So, what does this mean for him? Does he still have a place in this team? Finn, what do you think about this?
Well, listen, there's two schools of thought on this, and I'm going to go with the school of thought that I think the Penguins management is going with. They still want to compete. They want to put forward the best team possible. So you can't have Jarry in the net anymore. He's been abysmal, and ever since, there's been two things that broke him. The Islanders series a few years ago, and then his injury 2 seasons ago before the Rangers series. Since then, his numbers has consistently dropped. 909 save percentage in 23, 903 last year. It's abysmal, and we just saw the numbers. We just saw the numbers from you.
Right.
So you just can't have a goalie like this, and that, especially when Nedeljkovic and Blomqvist are at least slightly better.
Right.
And if you're trying to put forth a contending team, that's what you want to do. But now, if you look realistically, the Penguins are not a good team. They really don't have anything, so why not play him? You're paying him all this money.
Well, I would say also, I think Jari does have a lot of experience. He has more experience than any of these other goaltenders for the Pens. And, you look at Nedeljkovic, a lot of people don't really realize that they're about the same age, Jari and Nedeljkovic. So, but Jari, despite that, has a lot more experience, has more experience in playoffs. I think he can still find himself. I think he can still deserve a spot in this team just because of that and because he's so familiar with the other guys. But what I'm really interested in is the development of Joel Blomqvist, okay? It's his rookie season, and he really kept the Pens in some of these games, okay? He's only 22 years old. He played 4 games. He had 2 wins, and the stats, he has a little over 3 goals allowed per game, but his stats, they don't speak for how well he has played. The defense has not been good for the Pens, and Blomqvist really kept them in sometimes. So I really think, at the very least, Blomqvist should stay up on the roster, because sending him back down to the AHL it's not really going to help him develop anymore. So for the future, looking at it, because the Pens do have to keep in the back of their mind, this era of Crosby, Malkin, Letang, that's going to end soon. And so Blomqvist could be that goalie of the future. So I think at the very least, looking at Jari, looking at Nedeljkovic and those two, at the very least, depends on the thing of how much are we going to give Joel Blomqvist.
I agree completely. I also think another thing that we haven't really touched on much, also the defense has been a huge issue with this team. Not only last year they led the league in shorthanded goals against, as well as turnovers this year have been abysmal for this team. I think that we should cut these goalies a little bit of slack in the way that maybe not, like they're being hung out to dry. So,
while I agree with that sort of sentiment, I feel like Jari just doesn't have the confidence he used to. I mean, he was receiving Vezina votes a few years ago, and to sort of see him now turn into this barely playable goalie, I mean, it's just something you can't have in net, in my opinion, even though you're paying him this large contract.
It's going to be interesting to see how the future ends up with these 3 goalies the Penguins have. Looking at the Penguins' opponent tomorrow night, the Edmonton Oilers, looks like the Stanley Cup hangover strikes again, even for the losers of the final. After an historic run for this team ending in a Stanley Cup final Game 7 loss, the Oilers are sitting at 2-4-1 and second to last in the Pacific Division. However, this is very similar to how the team started the last year as well. Is this deja vu? Can the team come back around like they did last year? Casey, what do you think about this?
Well, the formula for the Oilers, recently has been score more goals than the other team. Obviously, that's the formula for everyone, but for the Oilers, it's score a lot more goals.
Right.
It's because the defense, with how much they're paying that front line, it just isn't there. But this year, it especially has not been there. Defense has been not good. Skinner in net has been very disappointing this year. I mean, very disappointing. Behind him, not much good going on there. And really, this whole team has always mattered on how much McDavid and Draisaitl can do. And really, I don't know if they're still coming down from a high of finally making it to the Cup final, but they really need to get in shape, because right now, this team, it's dependent on them. It is dependent on those two.
They've been good.
They have not been up to their.
McDavid has 8 points.
They have not been up to their standards.
They've just had. That's the thing is they've had no
help.
They
have not been up to their
zero
standards.
Help.
They have. I mean, they've just not been up to their standards and where they need to be. If this team, because a lot of people,
putting up 8 points, that should help your team. But they have no help.
A lot of people have picked the Oilers as their championship favorites, and that's because of those two. And those two, they have. If it was 8 points per game for almost every other player in the league, yeah, that is good. But for these two, it needs to be to another level.
I mean,
especially McDavid, it has to be to another level if this team is going to succeed.
They added a lot on offense, and they're still trying to mesh with their guys. They're trying to see who meshes with McDavid. And I mean, Jeff Skinner has looked good in this Oilers uniform, but the big thing is Arvidsson has been terrible for them. Their bottom 6 has been terrible. I mean, Arvidsson.
When is their bottom 6 not terrible?
Last year.
That's what
still McDavid still had a crazy year. But
he did, and he had chemistry with his team, and that's what they're still trying to build. And I think
I'm not saying they can't turn around.
I think Chris Knoblauch just needs to get this unit going as it was last year.
I'm not saying they can't
I really
turn around,
think,
but I don't think it's going to be the craziness of last year.
And I
was
agree.
a phenomenon of what they did.
I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. I think it's their defense is really the problem. Stuart Skinner is not he's a fine starter, but he needs something in front of him. And their new additions, Troy Stetcher and Dermott, have been terrible for them.
Can I ask, what does Nick Nurse even do?
You mean Darnell Nurse?
Nurse.
Yeah, Darnell Nurse.
What does he do?
Makes $9 million to not play good hockey.
Exactly.
I can tell you that.
He's just a bag.
And so I think, but McDavid and Draisaitl have always had to compensate for their bad defense and for their average to below average bottom six. And this year they're not doing it. And so it might be a little unfair to put so much on them, but because they're, I would say, two of the top 5 players in the league, you have to, and they have to be held to that higher standard if they're going to turn this around.
Moving on from pretty rocky starts in this league to a fantastic one, the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, I'll say that again. The Winnipeg Jets are sitting pretty at 6-0 and the only undefeated team left in the NHL. The team has been an offensive powerhouse, outscoring their opponents 27-10 to start their season. Thinking about that statement, however, recently the team has been choking at the end of the playoffs the past few years. So, can they keep this up? Or is this a hot start just doomed to cool down? Finn, what do you got on this?
So I think that this is sustainable. I don't know if they're going to stay like this elite team, they're going to win the President's Trophy or whatever at the end of the year, but I think this is a sustainable, good team. Scheifele and Ehlers have been crazy. They were thinking about trading Ehlers, and I bet you they're glad they didn't trade him this offseason. And Hellebuck, man, has been playing like it's the dead puck era. He has 1.4 goals against average and a .948 save percentage. That's unbelievable numbers. These are Dominic Hasek numbers, and if he can even play like close to that the rest of the year, they're going to be just fine.
I think mostly for the Jets, it is like you said of how well he plays, and right now it's really reliant on that wall they have a defense surrounding Hellebuck, and it's a question of eventually as the season goes on, whether it's injuries, whether it's just wear and tear, whether it's just how the team develops. There's going to be cracks in that wall. It's a matter of, is it going to break? And I think with the Jets, what they have built on this defense, and with Hellebuck, he's been good, but right now he is dominant. He is elite. I think we're going to see those cracks for sure, but I don't think they will break. I think they're definitely going to be in this playoffs. They're going to be at least through the first round. I think they would have a chance at Stanley Cup if it keeps like this. Do I think it'll keep like this? I don't know. The offense has had that hot start. I don't know if it'll stay like that. It's just going to be, is that wall of defense going to break?
I just think it might be a new coaching thing. They hired a new coach in the offseason after having an old coach for a few years. I think maybe this new system, even though it is similar to their old coach's system, I think maybe the system can find something that they weren't able to find the past few years.
Oh. Doesn't it feel so good to have hockey season back? Well, it wouldn't be Sports Talk in the Burgh if we didn't rant at least a little bit about the Steelers. So when we come back, Casey offers some of his hottest takes, so don't go away.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. Max loves to do backflips. Max loves to play his ukulele. Max loves to just be a kid and just be himself. When I found out I was pregnant, all I really wanted was a happy, healthy, whole child. And that's what I got. I think it's really important for people to know that trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. Like any parent, we love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us. Protect our families.
Wait! Not in the toilet!
No, don't do that.
No.
Don't hit your brother! Ooh!
Not again.
What did I tell you about playing in the mud?
Raffy, not so close to the pool. Wait!
Frankie, happy. What are you doing? We told you never to touch the gun!
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
You could have hurt yourself!
Safely store your guns. Unload, lock, and away from ammo.
It's time to take things down to Acrisure Stadium. Talk about some good old Steeler football. So Casey, take it away.
Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we're from the town with that great football team. we cheer the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team is here to win now, and the NFL needs to watch out. Let's start with defense. Defense. They have been for sure making that quarterback scramble. TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Nick Herbig, Larry Ogunjobi, Alex Highsmith is back. They have brought back the steel curtain, and despite the questions about the secondary, they are 4th in picks and have QBs looking blind with some of their passes. Dante Jackson has been one of the best corners in the league in man coverage, and Beanie Bishop has recently been announced as Aaron Rodgers' long-lost father. The defense is keeping opponents to 14 points a game, and the league is scared of Tomlin's wrecking balls back there. And now, offense. The entire league, me as well, everyone on this desk as well, questioned the decision to bench Justin Fields. But guess what? After 2 years, Russ finally cooked. He had a great first games as a Steelers starter, and the offense put up more than 35 points in the game. For the first time since November of 2020, I even had his new Permane sandwich, and while it clogged my arteries with how much meat was in that thing, it tasted like victory. I have been a Najee Harris truther for years, and he is finally proving me right and everyone else wrong. He has showed flashes of Derrick Henry the last few weeks, and as the angriest runner in the league, he is giving out free butt whoopings. George Pickens, he is mossing corners left and right, and with Cooper Kupp on the way to this offense soon, he's got a touchdown tonight, and he's going to score more touchdowns for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The horrors of Matt Canada, they are gone. And what we're left with is one of the elite teams in the entire NFL. At the start of the season, no one believed in the Steelers, with many having them finishing last in their AFC North predictions. But oh, how they were wrong. They're kicking the crap out of teams harder than Chris Boswell kicks perfect field goals every week as the best kicker in the league. I think the Steelers will eventually finish as the number 2 seed in the AFC. Right now in the playoff bracket, they would be playing the Bills. And Finn, oh, you can run from it. You can deny me. You can hate me. You can hate what I have to say. But at the end of the day, reality is all you're going to be left with. And what you're going to be left with is the Steelers winning that game. Oh, it would be close. Yes, it would be close. But oh, the Steelers would win gloriously. So watch out, NFL, because Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Here we go, fellas.
Casey, I haven't been on the desk in a very long time, but I missed your homer takes very much. First of all, I got to start with the Bills slander. What happened last year? You want to tell me?
It's a very different team. It's Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph were the quarterback.
It's the same team with a different quarterback.
It is not the same team.
It's the same team.
It is not much better. The defense got better.
The most Mickey Mouse 5-2 team.
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey
Mouse. They just blew out the Jets.
Oh, the Jets.
Everyone still had the Jets favored to beat the Steelers. And guess what? They blew them
out. The Jets are terrible.
The Steelers are 6 points away from being undefeated, okay? They have the same record as the Bills. The Bills have not looked as scary. They are a worse team than last year, and the Steelers are a better team than last year.
They are not a worse team.
They are definitely a worse team than last year. Yes, they are. And the Steelers are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. They have momentum. They have heat. They have an offense for the first time since Ben Roethlisberger had an elbow.
They have momentum. They have luck.
Where's the luck? They have luck. They have. Okay, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Luck is a part of the game, and the Steelers, if luck falls to them, that's good on them. But what they have been doing is a lot more than luck. The Chiefs have had a bit more luck, I would say.
Listen, I can't deny you with the Chiefs there.
By the way, I don't know what Christmas black magic is going to happen when the Steelers and Chiefs play on Christmas with how their games go, but that's going to be a crazy game. I think the Steelers, at the start of the season, I wasn't sure if the Steelers would have a chance, but now the Steelers have looked better on both sides of the ball, really. I mean, the Chiefs have been highly disappointed, and the Steelers, especially with how the offense have been the last 2 weeks, has been great. And it's not like the Jets have a bad defense. That's actually been the best part of their team. They have a pretty good defense, and the Steelers took them apart. And the Steelers now, Russ is going to get more connected with the team. The Steelers, even if they don't get another wide receiver now, I have more belief.
Oh, yeah. Cooper Kupp's coming. Brandon Ayuk's coming.
And guess what? They still put up
Antonio
37.
Brown's coming back. Like
George
come on.
Pickens now. Russ can throw the high point balls that
Yeah,
Justin
he
Fields
throws
couldn't.
a floater, and he got lucky that the Jets defense sucks.
Here's the Jets defense. They have one of the best defenses in
all right.
And they're 2-5. Who cares?
Okay, we're gonna
Because
learn.
the
We're gonna
offense
learn what
sucks.
goes on in the season
Super
as
Bowl
it
for the
goes on,
Steelers.
but it's still early. Thank you so much for joining us this week on Sports Talk in the Burgh. See you next week for some white hot takes.